Hello and welcome back. We are in episode 2 of decoding Stephen Covey's famous book, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. In episode 1, we discussed the first 2 habits, and in today's episode, we are going to be talking about the next 3 habits that are being recommended in the book. Before we move into today's lesson, let's do a quick recap of the key concepts that we discussed in episode 1. In episode 1, we discussed that it's important to work on one's character in order to achieve lasting growth and change. We also discussed that our paradigms and our perspectives form the core of our character. If we work on our paradigms and our perspectives, we end up shaping our character, which in turn has an impact on our actions, our behavior, our outlook, and hence the consequences in our life. We moved on to discussing the first habit that is being recommended by Stephen Covey in the book, and that is being proactive. We discussed the difference between proactive and reactive people. We spoke about the circle of concern, which is where reactive people operate out of. And we also spoke about the inner circle of influence, which is what proactive people focus on. When you focus on your circle of influence, it expands. We spoke about the second habit that is being recommended in the book, and that is to start with the end in mind. The author recommends each one of us to invest some time and effort into the activity of visualization. Visualize what is it that you would like to achieve in your life. And this could be with regard to your personal and professional goals. I gave you an example stating a project or a target or a goal that you would like to achieve in your professional life, and then visualize or plan the actions in your head that you would have to take in order to make progress towards the goal. The same principle can also be applied to your personal life. In fact, must be applied to your personal life. We ended video 1 with a simple activity where I asked each one of you to think about your personal mission statement in life. What is it that you would like to achieve in life? What is it that you really care for? And then also visualize the actions that you will have to take in order to move closer towards achieving your life goal. And now we are ready to embark upon the next bit of our journey towards decoding this amazing book. Let's get started. So now that you have a mission statement in your hand, how do you go about achieving it? Or how do you go about making it a reality? Simple. You live it day in and day out. Now, in the midst of our everyday life and its commitments and the roles and responsibilities that we are involved in and the daily hassles, this could become a little bit of a challenge. You need excellent time management skills to achieve your goals. The good news is you really don't need to rely on any complicated technique or method to be able to prioritize or to be able to use your time better. We will work with a very simple principle, and that is first things first. What does that mean? This means rigorously prioritizing everything you do so that the important things get taken care of first, and everything else is secondary and is dealt with later or is delegated. Now the next question is, well, how can you tell which things are important? A great place to start is this matrix that is recommended by the author. So we start by categorizing all our activities into these two dimensions: urgency and importance. So this gives you a 2x2 matrix with 4 quadrants. In quadrant 1 are tasks that are important and urgent, like emergencies that need your attention right away. In quadrant 2 are tasks that are important but they are not urgent. An example could be writing that mission statement for your life, building important relationships in your business, or planning for your finances for the future. In quadrant 3 are tasks that are urgent but they are not important. An example could be the phone ringing while you're busy working on a report. And in quadrant 4 are all those activities which are neither urgent nor important. In other words, a waste of time. Of all these 4 quadrants, Steve Covey recommends that we spend the maximum amount of time in quadrant 2. These actions are the ones that will have an enormous positive impact on your life. When you spend time building quality relationships with your business associates, it is going to result in business success. It's a quadrant 2 activity. When you spend time on your health and having more home-cooked meals and working out in the gym, chances are you are going to reduce the chances of falling sick in the future. Taking time out to learn a new hobby or a skill is going to stand you in good stead in the future. This is exactly what is recommended in the book, that when you work enough in quadrant 2, you will find that there are fewer crises emerging from quadrant 1. Unfortunately, a lot of people do not understand the importance of quadrant 2, and their life pretty much revolves around quadrant 1 and quadrant 3, where they are either firefighting a situation or they are indulging in activities which are not actually important, they are simply urgent. When you focus on quadrant 2, you're actually able to invest time in activities which are important and will play a huge role in shaping your life and getting the most important things done. When you look at your mission statement activities should fall in quadrant 2. So when you focus on quadrant 2, you move closer and closer to achieving your goals in life and hence your mission in life. So here is a recommended activity to practice this habit and incorporate it into your life. Look at your mission statements and identify 2 quadrant 2 activities that you could do that will take you closer to your mission statement or to your goal. Make a note of these 2 quadrant 2 activities and allocate some time every day to practice these 2 activities. Or set aside some time to practice these actions on a daily basis. When you do that, you find that you've actually been able to put first thing first. You're working more out of quadrant 2 and you're moving closer to achieving your life's goal. We've moved on to the 4th habit now. And the 4th habit is think win-win. Now, when you interact with others, what kind of outcome do you generally look for? Most people's world views are shaped by a very strong win-lose paradigm. These people approach any interaction, whether in their personal life or their professional lives, with a sense of competition, where they need to win all the time, where they need to fight the other person for the biggest slice of pie. But most situations in life actually do not need this kind of competition. There is usually enough pie for everybody. Hence, it is better to approach any negotiation or any situation with a win-win attitude. It is far better when all parties come together with a win-win attitude to work towards a win-win solution, which is beneficial for everyone, rather than fighting for a win-lose outcome. The biggest disadvantage of the win-lose mentality is that when two people with this kind of mentality come up against each other, the situation ends up being a lose-lose one. There's a bitter fight, there's aggressive competition, and both parties end up losing. And the joke goes that the entire pie gets knocked off the table to be eaten by the dog. Furthermore, it is impossible for a long-term positive relationship to develop if either party has a win-lose attitude. As an example, let's take a situation where your company is selling solutions to a customer and you approach the customer with a win-lose attitude. You may get away with it in the first couple of instances. However, in the long run, the customer does come to realize that you were unfair to him in the past. You were constantly working at a win-lose outcome. So in the long run, the customer prefers not to do business with you and could go away to competition, which means with a win-lose attitude, in the long run, you actually end up losing, and you end up losing business. This kind of attitude doesn't help anyone. On the other hand, if you think win-win, you'll find yourself building a lot of positive relationships. And each interaction will strengthen the relationship further rather than eroding it or taking away from it. In the example that I just gave you, if you had worked with the customer on finding a solution that is mutually beneficial and suits both parties, then in the long run, the customer is most definitely going to remember and they would come back to you, thereby increasing your profits in the long run. It's necessary to keep negotiating and communicating till you arrive at a solution that works for all parties. This kind of negotiation and communication is not easy. It takes sensitivity, time, and a lot of patience. But the reward is immensely powerful. You build a long-lasting relationship on the platform of trust, and all parties can profit from it in the future. Now here is a great practice exercise for you. Think of an important relationship where you would like to have a win-win mentality. Put yourself in the other party's shoes and make a list of all the things that would constitute a win for him or her. Now, Make a list of all the things that would constitute a win for you. Finally, approach the other party and ask if he or she would be willing to find truly mutually satisfactory agreement where both parties will benefit. This would be a great practice activity and would help you understand and appreciate the importance of the fourth habit out of the 7 habits. We've moved on to the 5th habit, and this is one of my favorites. The 5th habit says, seek first to understand, then to be understood. Let me start with an example. Imagine going to a doctor with an ailment. How would you feel if the doctor listened to your description of your ailment half-heartedly and absent-mindedly, and then quickly announces, "I've had enough," and hands over a prescription to you? Or how about going to an optician who hands over his glasses to you without checking your eyesight first, stating, "Well, these glasses work fine for me, so they should work fine for you too"? Chances are you're bolting away from both these doctors right now. These examples sound funny, but in reality, a lot of us behave exactly like this, especially in a conversation while listening to others. We simply listen with the assumption that we know what they are going to say, or we quickly project our situation onto them and jump to offer a quick solution to their problem. Neither of these approaches is appreciated. Such advice is seldom welcome, since people would like to only trust someone's judgment when they know that the person understands their situation really well. So if you want to be respected as an imparter of advice and you want people to listen to you, it is important that you develop the skills of an empathic listener. Remember the concept of paradigms that we spoke about in the first lesson? Developing the skill of empathic listening necessitates a shift in paradigms. It requires you to shift your paradigm from "I am listening so that I can respond to this person" to "I am listening so that I can truly understand this person." Empathic listening means trying to get inside the other person's frame of reference so that you can appreciate not just their message, but also the underlying emotion. Empathic listening is about not just listening to words, but also the underlying emotion behind the words. It's not just about listening to what is being said, but also what is not being said. It requires a lot of time, effort to develop this skill. But I can guarantee that the effort is well worth it. When you practice empathic listening, you will find that more and more people trust you and are willing to open up to you. And this could open up a world of opportunities where you build more positive and strong relationships in business and in personal life. Here is a great way to practice empathic listening and develop it as a skill. Observe a conversation where you cannot hear the words. What emotions do you read? You can practice this by simply muting the volume on the television while you're watching your favorite show. Try and read the emotions that are running in the conversation. This is a powerful skill to develop and will stand you in good stead when you're interacting with managers, peers, colleagues, customers, and people around you. At this juncture in the book, the author talks about a very interesting concept. He speaks about the EBA, or the emotional bank account. Steve Covey says that having a positive, stable relationship is like having an emotional bank account. A relationship with another person is kind of like a bank account. By putting time, effort, and goodwill into it, the balance in the account grows. What this indicates is increasing trust between both parties. A healthy balance in your account means that both parties are flexible, they have mutual respect, and any miscommunication is sorted out quickly and smoothly. If, on the other hand, the balance in your emotional bank account does not look very healthy or is zero, what that means is there is no respect between both parties, there's hardly any flexibility, and miscommunication abounds. It's like walking with a time bomb in your hand. You never know when it could explode. So how can you grow your balance? How can you ensure that your emotional bank account with another person looks healthy at all times? The answer is, well, you need to make a deposit. What does a deposit mean? In case of an emotional bank account, a deposit could be, for example, finding more win-win solutions, sticking to promises, keeping your commitments, maintaining transparency and honesty in the relationship, and walking the extra mile to really understand the other person. A withdrawal, on the other hand, is the exact opposite. It's about not maintaining transparency or honesty. It's about neither party being flexible to the other's needs. It also means miscommunications happen all the time and neither party makes an effort to get those resolved. When you make a deposit into the emotional bank account, the balance starts to look not just positive but healthy, which means the relationship thrives and grows. When you make withdrawals from the account, your balance starts to look negative or zero. What that means is the relationship and the quality of it starts to erode. Now, there are some major deposits that one can make into an emotional bank account. Always speaking the truth, always ensuring that the other person feels listened to, making sure that there is respect for the other person, and always keeping the other person's interest in mind. Sometimes you may have to put your own interest on the back burner to ensure that you build a positive relationship and a positive deposit is made into the emotional bank account. Another major deposit that you can make into the emotional bank account is to maintain utmost personal integrity. This means you maintain loyalty towards people who are not present, and you never indulge in bad-mouthing them in their absence or sharing what they have told you in confidence. This puts you in very positive light and also communicates to people who are around that you can be trusted. But perhaps one of the most important deposits that you can make into an emotional bank account is to really make the effort to try and understand other people. And this starts with the simple skill of listening. When you listen, you understand. You understand what is important to the other party. And then you can frame more of these win-win solutions when you know exactly what the other party is expecting. In the book, the author talks about a friend of his who understood the importance of this kind of deposit. This friend of the author was not a fan of baseball, but his son was. So one summer, he took his son on a road trip to watch all the major league teams play. The road trip took 6 weeks and it was an expensive one. But then it really helped the father and son bond, and it strengthened their relationship like no other activity had in the past. The author asked his friend, "Do you really enjoy baseball that much?" And the friend replied, "No, but I love my son that much." If you do happen to make a withdrawal from the emotional bank account, have the courage to own up to it and go and offer a sincere apology. It demonstrates great strength of character, and you will be surprised how many people actually willingly forgive a repentant person. Try it out.
One, be proactive. 2, begin with the end in mind. 3, put first things first. 4, think win-win. 5, seek first to understand, then to be understood.